Welcome to Konoha Crush, a clandestine effort to exhaustively research and document events occurring in and around the village hidden in the leaves. I'm Ruby.
I'm Gwen. Hi!
Hi, hey, it's the podcast time. We're making the podcast again.
It's time to make the podcast.
We do this every week, and we're here again this week making the podcast. How's it going, Gwen? What have you been up to?
Pretty good. I watched some anime.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
You're doing so much for this podcast right now.
Well, I'm glad you think so. Let's see. There are two shows that I wanna mention.
Okay. Hit me with them.
Parallel World Pharmacy
Okay.
and Uncle from Another World.
Alright, so you're on that isekai grind.
Yeah, as always.
As always. Alright, yeah, tell me about that.
So, I'm going to start with Uncle from Another World because I think it is probably the most interesting one out of this season's batch of isekai stuff, and it's kind of a spin on it, kind of a parody, where the main character is a college kid whose uncle recently woke up from a 17-year-old coma, where it turns out that his uncle was living in another fantasy world while he was in a coma, and he's it's just a fun comedy thing about a guy who's a huge loser and used to be an isekai guy who has to contend with the 17 years of culture that happened while he was away.
Okay. That sounds like it could be pretty fun. It sounds like it might be the sort of thing that winds up being in danger of running through the joke it has.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess we'll see how that goes, right? So I guess there's 3 episodes of that right now. I don't know how many. I don't know how long this anime season's been airing for. I'm so out of the fucking loop.
Yeah, it's 2 or 3.
Okay.
But the other one, Parallel World Pharmacy, is about a super accomplished medical researcher who dedicated his life to curing the disease that killed his baby sister when he was young.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets reincarnated as the young son of a noble pharmacist. And it basically is about revolutionizing healthcare in a fantasy world.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I feel like a lot of fantasy worlds could use that, you know?
Yeah.
We don't even know what kind of healthcare they got here in Naruto, right? It probably isn't great.
It's medicine you chew up and spread on a wound.
Yeah, but I mean...
So that's probably not great, actually.
I guess there's surgery and stuff. I don't know how this is getting ahead of ourselves, both in the fact that we're not at the part of the episode we're talking about Naruto yet, and also this hasn't happened in the show yet. But I wonder if Rock Lee's family had to pay at all for the surgery that he gets. Is United charging?
Really funny if she is. Also, I don't get the impression that Rock Lee has a family.
Yeah, I guess so. Sorry for that tangent. Did you have anything more you want to say about that show before I interrupted you to say some fucking bullshit?
No, it's okay. Yeah, I mean, in the most recent episode, we got the commoners don't get healthcare talk, and he was all that's the most fucked up thing I've ever heard.
That's so fucked up. I can't imagine a world like that.
Yeah, I can't imagine where class decides how well your healthcare is. So, what have you been up to?
I don't know. I haven't been doing much anime wise, or much that I feel I have that much to talk about. I have been thinking a lot about Transformers for a different podcast I'm guesting on this week, but that's again pretty out of the purview of what I would say here. I did watch a little bit of anime. I watched the first 2 episodes of Licorice Recoil.
Yeah, how you liking that one so far?
I think it's a lot of fun. You know, I think it's sometimes you just get a batch of fun anime girls, and then on top of that you apply the beautiful truth that if you give an anime girl a gun, it's pretty cool.
It's so good.
You could just make a whole show out of that.
You could just make a whole show where it's John Wick but cute anime girls.
There's a girl who's so good at dodging bullets. It's amazing. She's She's doing so good at dodging bullets and firing her non-lethal bullets through car doors to hit guys. Don't worry about it. Don't think about it. Just enjoy the anime girls with guns. That's the fucking thing we're here for.
Yeah.
It's been a delight so far. Like, I've only seen the first 2 episodes. I think there's 3 out so far. You know, I'm probably gonna get caught up in that at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
And like, hopefully keep with it because I've been having a great time so far. But I don't know where to say it really right now. You know, this show could be doing anything, right? It's 2 episodes into a show about anime girls with guns. Who knows what this thing is trying to say?
Yeah, but I mean, like, I've also been watching this.
Oh yeah, really? I had no idea, Gwen.
Yeah. And I can just say, in both of the episodes that we watched, I was hooting and hollering.
I heard her. This is where we revealed that we watched it together, so I was not actually surprised that Gwen had been watching this show.
Yeah. I'm a bitch that cheers.
She is. It's wonderful.
Yeah. It's a good show.
It's a pretty good show. I'm looking forward to more of it.
Yeah. Oh, you want to watch an episode after we record?
I could go for that.
Hell yeah.
But like, I mean, beyond that, do we have anything else we want to talk about, or should we move on to Naruto?
Yeah, I want to watch fucking anime girls with guns. So like, obviously we should move on to the episodes. Come on.
We've got to fucking get this Naruto shit out of the way.
Episode 78, Naruto's Ninja Handbook. Naruto uses a bunch of shadow clones to get through Gaara's defenses and stick a paper bomb-wrapped kunai in Gaara's butt. Sasuke starts giving Naruto shit about it and offers to make this his final stand if Naruto runs away with Sakura. Naruto remembers Haku's words about how having someone precious to you makes you stronger and conjures an impressive fuckton of clones. The Naruto swarm delivers the Naruto 2K Uzumaki Barrage, hurting Gaara and sending him into a rage that culminates in Gaara's perfect possession, a huge sand Godzilla Tanuki. With his chakra drained from all the clones, Naruto resorts to a summoning jutsu one more time. Gamabunta's here.
Hell yeah, Gamabunta's here. But before we talk about Gamabunta, and before we even talk about this episode, we have a new opening.
Yeah, this is the one.
This is in a lot of respects the Naruto opening, right? This is the 4th opening for Naruto. It is the song Go with 3 exclamation points by Flow.
Mm-hmm.
And it fucking bangs. It fucking goes. It's a great song. They are fighting dreamers.
They are so much fighting dreamers. Oh my god.
Oh my god! Like it's a real classic. I love to hear it. I've never really felt that moved by the actual like sequence behind this opening. Like it's cute, right?
Yeah.
Like it's got a strong enough concept where you got like all of the like you got at the start you got the characters sort of like positioning themselves on this like scroll that's scrolling by, and you get some like nice drawings, and there's like some like nice bits of animation in there, right? Like this is a Toshiki Suru and Hirofumi Suzuki joint, so like it's very competently made. It looks pretty good, but like it's not really my favorite of theirs ultimately.
But the song though,
the song is good. The song is like unimpeachable. No complaints there. You know, I for like. Hold on, I'm trying to think of how long it's been since I like was first watching Naruto. I almost said 20 years, but that's not true.
Since you were 7.
Since I was 7, and this opening had not been on any episodes of Naruto yet. Well, you know, for however long it's been that I've known this song, you know, it's got a real infectious energy to it. You just can't beat "We Are Fighting Dreamers."
Hey, it'll be 20 years someday.
It'll be 20 years someday. When it's 20 years, I'm not making any promises about reminding you, but like, it's a good fucking song.
It's such a good fucking song. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think I have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, okay. The other thing I want to say before we get into it is that like, because I've been reading like the official translations of like the volumes, like sometimes you get like these little there's these bits of commentary from Masashi Kishimoto. You know, like a lot of it's just him like talking about like, you know, how he like grew and developed as an artist in ways not like super relevant to the podcast. But there is a bit in one of those segments where he talks about how an important element of like developing his style was like seeing Tetsuya Nishio's anime character designs. And so like earlier in this podcast, like in an earlier episode of this podcast, I had like talked about Vampire in the Garden, which showed that Tetsuya Nishio did the character designs on, and said that it looked like Naruto. But like it turns out that actually Naruto looks like Tetsuya Nishio art, which is why sometimes Tetsuya Nishio's art looks more like Naruto than like Masashi Kishimoto's does.
Right. Okay.
Because he's just kind of trying to be that guy in some real ways, which is beautiful. It's great that it worked out for him like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's great that Tatsuya Nishio got to like work on Naruto, like more for Masashi Kishimoto's sake. The Nishio, I think Tatsuya Nishio would have been fine.
Yeah. It's pretty funny though.
It is pretty funny.
God, I gotta find an artist to copy.
You don't have to.
No, of course I don't.
But anyway, well, from there, I guess it's time to get to the action. From there, I guess it's time to get into the actual episodes we've got here, right? The actual episode we watched and that you just like summarized like 5 minutes ago or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So we're getting like we get right into the action pretty quick, right? Like before that, there's a bit of Gaara trying to like taunt Naruto. Like he's still like in full on like I need to provoke these guys into fighting me so I can kill them mode. But like Naruto's just kind of invested enough at this point that he doesn't really need it. Mm-hmm. And I really like this bit of action we get from Naruto at the start here. I really like the way he uses shadow clones here. I think it's very fun.
Yeah. The way he like sends them up ahead to get like caught in the sand and then uses them as like stepping stones, it's good.
It's super cool. Like there's like multiple times where he like summons like one more shadow clone in the middle of the air to like change his trajectory or like have a guy block an attack for him. Yeah, it's like super cool. It's like it really gives this great sense of like his approach to using this like thing as the center of his toolkit right now is like really it's really grown and changed.
Yeah, he's really figured it out. He's figured out how to double jump. It's great.
Fuck yeah, he has figured out how to double jump. Nobody else in the ninja world is like brave enough to partition off half of their chakra for a double jump.
Well, I mean, that's just how it works.
He gets Gaara with the paper bomb.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually like I feel like the destructiveness of a paper bomb varies wildly. But like this one fucking gets there,
Oh yeah.
Like it fucks up that tree Gaara's standing on. Like and Gaara's just sort of like his like sand Tanuki form around him is sort of like collapsing.
Yeah, this part looks great. I love Gaara's melty face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool to see a thing that is often just like here is a piece of the action that isn't really like an actual hit, just kind of like be a big thing. I think that's pretty fun. Sasuke is sort of like coming to in the middle of this. Like, I mean, he catches Naruto when like Naruto gets sent flying right before Naruto like plants the bomb, and he's like a little more conscious now. He's like, okay, Naruto, I've had enough of this. You've worked so hard to hit him once. I know what's going on here. It's time for me to just die. So how about you like fuck off, take Sakura out of here. I'll handle this. By which I mean I'll die in the woods.
Yeah, you know what? I'm 12. I figured out I had a good run. I think it's time for me to go ahead and die in the woods here.
Yeah, like I wasn't able to kill this guy, and he said if I couldn't kill him, I couldn't kill Itachi, so like, yeah, I think I'm gonna die in the woods if that's all the same to you. It's like he wasn't even listening when Gaara said like, hey, Sakura's like getting out of my big sand hand unless you defeat me.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a very strong sense of like what he'd actually be doing here. He like other than like kind of struggling to stand, but like he thinks he can do it.
Yeah, I mean he is 12, and we have established that he is stupid. So
that's so true.
He probably just thinks he's gonna like get a cool new power or something.
Like he might, yeah, maybe he will.
Yeah,
we know what's going on with that curse mark. Maybe he will get a new power.
Yeah, I mean, don't worry about it. But he doesn't gotta, because Naruto's not done.
Naruto's like, no, that's stupid. Don't do that. Naruto's like thinking back to Haku. I like that he is thinking back to like both the stuff about Haku where it's like, oh, Haku like taught me these very important lessons about like, how it's important to have people you want to protect. And also about how the part where Haku is like, hey, I'm going to let you kill me so you can be the new strong power boy, right? Like there is both there's both the element of like, oh, I learned some very important things, and also like, oh, I can't fucking let that happen again.
Oh, also, can I call out something that Sasuke said here?
Oh, sure, go for it.
There's this part where Sasuke is like, I'm not going to let it happen again. I'm not going to see any comrades die in front of me. But like, it's not really something that Sasuke has like obviously his family was murdered and everything, but I feel like that's way different.
He wasn't really in a position to do anything about it then.
Right, he was just kind of copying a thing that Kakashi said.
Oh my god, he is. Oh, he wants to be Kakashi so bad.
I thought it was so fucking funny.
That's beautiful. I totally didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, so like I just want to point out how like 12 and in love with the idea of being the cool guy he is.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Truly, like, maturity and in your understanding of Naruto is so much about, like, you know, like, I had my time, like, Sasuke's, like, super cool when I was younger, and then, like, later, I was like, actually, Sasuke's fucking lame, I'm sick of him. And then, like, eventually, you loop back around, just like, actually, Sasuke's really fucking lame, and that's why he's cool. I'm glad to be there.
Yeah. I'm so happy. Yeah, sorry. So Naruto remembers Haku. Yeah. And so, like, Naruto remembering that, like, having friends rules, actually, makes so many clones.
Makes so many clones. I love it whenever Naruto makes just, like, so many clones. Like, at this point, it's pretty restrained how often he pulls out the, like, okay, I'm making, like, a fucking billion guys. Like, usually he's, like, fairly limited. But, like, when he just makes, like, a fucking million guys and it fills up the forest, it's just one of those things that, like, managed to be cool just from the brute force of, like, oh shit, they had to draw all of those guys.
Yeah, right. Just, like, every surface, like, peppered with clones, like, all the way into the background as far as it goes.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
So good. He's ready to, like, launch into his big attack. He's, like, going for it. He's, like, immediately in, like, big grandstanding mode, which I love. I love how, like, super, like, dramatic he gets about everything once he's, like, confident. The music's kicking in. Like, I feel like a thing I've been super remiss in, like, talking about with the show is, like, I think that the music in Naruto is, like, really good. Like, I really like the soundtrack. It's, like, very distinct. It's got, like, this great sense of, like, you got, like, the cool drums and they got, like, the electric guitars, but they're also mixing in, like, the shamisen and the shakuhachi, and it's just, like, it gives it this really, like, distinct feel where it's like, oh yeah, like, the songs in Naruto sound like Naruto.
Yeah, totally.
And also they sound, like, pretty good. They get me fucking pumped.
Yeah, right. Like, it totally has all the music in Naruto, like, definitely has, like, a very, like, identifiable texture.
Mm-hmm, yeah. I like pretty much all of it, and I'm saying pretty much all like a fucking gun I am placing on the mantle for when we talk about another one of our episodes this week.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he's like rushing at Gaara. He's, like, doing an extremely abstracted version of, like, the technique that Sasuke copied from Lee and then he copied from Sasuke, where it's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna have, like, a whole bunch of me, like, kick a guy a lot. He, like, is talking about it as if there are, like, literally 1,000 of him here. Like, that could be true. I don't know. But, like,
I feel like it's really hard to get 1,000 guys, like, close enough to one person in order for them to all hit at the same time.
Yeah, like, maybe if you wait till he was bigger, but, like, I mean, you know, I guess not all hitting at the same time, right? Like, some of them are kicking him up into the air, and some of them are punching him while he's in the air, and some of them are, like, punching him towards the ground. We just don't know how many of Naruto there are, and, like, probably Naruto doesn't either. I don't think he counts and makes this many guys.
Yeah, no, I don't.
I think he's just like, yeah, okay, there's 1,000 of me, and I got 2 fists, so that's 2,000 hits.
Yeah, right. And then before, Gaara goes all, you know, kaiju mode. He starts, like, taunting, like, all right, now I'm gonna use my feet for the 4K.
I'm gonna have each of my clones attacking you with both hands and both kicks. So it's gonna be 4,000 hits.
I'm not normal. I love dumb fight math.
It's beautiful.
Gaara transforms. He's a big, standing over the trees guy, right? Mm-hmm. And Naruto's like, well, fuck. I can't just punch that guy, no matter how many of them I am.
Mm-hmm.
And then Gamabunta's there, and I'm so happy.
I'm so happy, right? Like, but he pulls like Gamabunta because Gaara's trying to, like, sand crush him. And he's like, shit, try sand crushing this frog that's, like, 8 times, like, not even 8 times is way too small. I don't want to go for 8 times. Try crushing this frog that's like this toad that's like 100 times as big as I am. You don't have enough stab for that, idiot.
Yeah.
And he doesn't. He's just on the head of a big toad now. Mm-hmm. It's time to move on to the next stage of the fight. And also, I think it's time to move on to the next stage of the episode, unless you have more you want to say about this.
Nope. Ready to move on. Gamabunta isn't about to throw down with Shikaku and refuses to help Naruto. But Gamakichi pops in to tell his dad that Naruto helped him when Gaara was trying to bully him earlier. Gamabunta draws his fuck huge toad knife and cuts the sand monster's arm clean off. Gaara slips out of the sand monster's head, and Gamabunta lore dumps about Shukaku. Gaara puts himself to sleep with the jutsu, and Shukaku takes control. He's kind of a funny guy, actually. Gamabunta needs Naruto to wake up Gaara so Shukaku isn't in control anymore, but he needs a form with fangs and claws to hold him still. Naruto uses transformation jutsu, and they take the form of the nine-tailed fox.
Alright, so Gamabunta shows up. Gamabunta instantly fucking hates it here. I love that he's like not just like looking up at Naruto and being like, ah, fuck, it's you again. But he also looks over at the Shukaku and is like, oh, I fucking hate this guy. I don't want to fight him.
No, he takes one look and he's like, God damn it, it's Shukaku.
He knows exactly like who this guy is. He knows all about him. Like maybe he's even fought him before. He doesn't fucking like it.
Mm-hmm.
The Gamakichi thing is a really nice payoff, right? Because it's like how Naruto like fucked up at summoning a frog in the middle of the fight. You don't think a ton of it later, then, but then like later it's like, oh hey, this is Gamabunta's son actually.
Yeah.
And so like by having protected Gamabunta's son, and also because Shukaku tried to attack Gamabunta's son, this makes Gamabunta pissed off enough to be like, okay, yeah, all right, I'm doing this.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
I fucking love the huge guys fighting like parts of this. Like every time it just like leans into that scale, it's awesome.
Fuck yeah.
I love him like just charging forward with this like massive toad knife and like cutting Shukaku's arm clean off, and the arm goes flying and like collapses into sand.
Yes.
And like the knife gets like embedded like tip first into the earth, and it's just like sitting there as this like huge thing for like the rest of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's all this stuff where Shukaku shooting air bullets and like Gamabunta shooting water bullets and like collide in the midair and just make it rain in like a huge radius around them.
Mm-hmm. This I think actually like highlighted something for me about like Naruto lore that gets like rewritten later.
Mm-hmm.
I think this fight like really frames like Shukaku and Gamabunta as like the same tier of being.
Yeah, like Shukaku is just like a big guy who like used to be alive, but now he's a ghost who gets put in people's bodies.
Yeah, like pretty much, right?
I could definitely see that being like a thing that was at one point intended to be like implied about this for sure.
Yeah, right. Because they seem like roughly equivalent right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and, at least like in the same tier, even if one of them is like a little bit stronger.
Yeah, and like also like in terms of like Shukaku being like a different kind of thing than like, you know, what Naruto's got going on. We get a lot of stuff about how like, oh yeah, the Shukaku will like try and like eat away at the personality of its host while they're sleeping. So the Shukaku's host can't fucking sleep ever.
Yeah.
Which is like a pretty raw fucking deal. And like when you think about that later in the context of like, oh, actually, Shukaku and the nine-tailed fox are the same thing, it just kind of comes across like, okay, maybe the Shukaku is just like a way bigger asshole.
It fucking sucks to be Shukaku's host.
Yeah, you can't like. Not only did Gaara have like all of that shit happen to him for like his entire life, he also couldn't fucking sleep even. Like no wonder.
Yeah, no fucking wonder.
Like I'm not a fan of like being asleep personally, but also I understand that if I couldn't sleep at all ever, I would be either dead or also the Joker. So, like, you know.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm already real close to being the Joker, guys.
It just takes one bad day. Alright, one other thing I want to talk about, like, with the scale of this fight is I love that Gamabunta is like, okay, we need to wrap this up quick, like, primarily because if we keep fighting like this, we're just gonna, like, fuck up the whole environment out here.
Yeah. I also think it's really funny that like when they start fighting, Naruto's like, wait, don't go over there, and then he just points to like part of the identical forest that's around them in every direction.
It's like, yeah, I really wouldn't like for anybody who's over there to be crushed. There's a bunch of stuff in this episode. It's like they heard us fucking complaining last week about how like it's so like unnecessary for Sakura to be like in peril at this point because of how much like personal stake Naruto has in this fight. So they haven't like specifically mentioned like Sakura and like not Sasuke in ways that feel like just kind of incongruous here.
Yeah, totally. Because Naruto definitely cares more about Sasuke here, right?
Yeah, I'm absolutely.
What about Pakun?
What about Pakun? What about Tamari? Okay, probably not her. But like,
yeah, Tamari probably shouldn't fly away. At this point,
yeah, like at this point, maybe she should just stay where she is. Like
there's like lots of giant bullets flying around.
When she's in the zone that is like vaguely trying to not be crushed, that this is not the safest place for her. She missed her chance to leave.
Oh yeah.
Also, I love when the Shukaku wakes up and he just starts fucking screaming.
Shukaku's so good.
He's got such like a great voice. Like the Gamakichi sees like hears him, he's like, whoa, he's kind of funky.
Yeah.
Anyway, like Gon would just like, okay, yeah, we should end this quick. I'm gonna need to like hold him still. So Naruto like turns him into the big nine-tailed fox, and like it is probably for the best that they are so far away from the village right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I mean both because like it would freak a lot of people out and maybe would do some damage to Naruto's like kind of still like being established like positive reputation in the village if there was just the nine-tailed fox rampaging off in the distance where everybody could see. And also like nobody who's fighting for the leaf right now needs to like see a reminder of like what was like probably one of the most traumatic days of their lives.
Yeah.
So like it's good that they're so removed from the rest of the conflict right now.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, also to be fair, like this is probably going to be one of the like other most traumatic days, anyway.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. You could just make it a little worse, and it would be a huge deal.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. You could just say Orochimaru did that, and like nobody will get mad at Naruto. It'll be okay.
Yeah. I mean, or even just be like, yeah, the fox is the fox is on our side now.
Yeah, he's our friend. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, he's under control. Naruto's got him.
You guys are like gonna need to get used to like being cool with guys who like try to destroy the village once eventually. So like you might as well start now.
Look, especially if it's during the cheating exams.
Especially if it's during the cheating exams. So we also have like a new ending to talk about before we get into that. Did you have anything else you want to say about like this episode proper?
No, not really. Let's get into the new ending.
All right. So yeah, the new ending is Imamade Nandomo by the Mass Missile.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember which number of ending this is because they're like slightly out of sync with the openings. I think this is like the 5th one. I'm not sure. I should have looked up looked into this, but like whatever. It's not super important. You can probably figure it out. I think this song is like less iconic than Go, but I also think it's like completely a fucking banger.
Yeah, it's a good song.
It's a good song. Like I feel like this combination of like opening and ending is like so fucking strong. Like I don't know the next time we'll get like a combination this good.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really enjoying it this time. I'm really gonna relish this. This is another Toshiki Suru and Hirofumi Suzuki sequence. It's like a much more like key animatorless than the opening. It's just like Hirofumi Suzuki and Junichi Takaoka in terms of key animators. So like pretty small in terms of the amount of people actually working on this. But like I also like the sequence quite a bit. Like it's pretty restrained, but I think there's some really nice moments. I think there's some like fun characterful animation when like Sakura and Sasuke approach Naruto while he's like sitting down in the distance, and there's like this there's a sequence of like these 3 still images like more and more characters like run into frame and like go over to like hang out with Naruto, where like in each of those images there's a lot of like really characterful posing for like all of the different characters in it. That's like super nice. It's like a fairly like from there it's like a fairly like standard like here's a lot of like we're panning the camera over like all of the characters. We've got some like parallax scrolling over like a lineup of them. We've got some like kind of like
I was actually really impressed with the with like the part where it's like the characters are standing still but like the camera is moving around them. Yeah, and so you get this like actually really smooth, like really nicely like executed like character rotations, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. It is like really like stunningly consistent. For like the like like it's not like super flashy, but it's like a pretty complex thing that's being asked for, and it's like being pulled off with a really impressive like degree of fidelity.
Yeah, at weird angles too, right? Like it's not just like a head height rotation. It's just like it's nice.
Yeah, it's a nice little sequence. Again, I fucking love the song.
Yeah, the song's so good.
But that's what I have to say about this episode and that ending. So I'm good to move on if you are.
Yep. Episode 79, Beyond the Limit of Darkness and Light. In fox form, Gamabunta latches onto Shukaku before poofing back into a toad. Naruto hops off and decks Gaara. Shukaku isn't super happy about his time here being cut short, but disappears from the body as Gaara comes to. Gaara starts burying Naruto in sand, while we check back in with the soul struggle and the fight in the village. Orochimaru tells Hiruzen to give up because the village is already pretty much destroyed, while some sand shinobi are wondering why they haven't seen any women or kids. Hiruzen tells Orochimaru not to underestimate the leaf.
Okay. So this is an episode of Naruto.
It sure is.
I think is kind of a mess in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that a little bit later. Let's start by talking about like the continued battle out in the woods with Gaara and Gamabunta and like the Shukaku. What I want to talk about is like this is not like a particularly unique opinion to me, but once again I am like looking at what the transformation jutsu can do, and just kind of wondering why more people don't use this more often.
Yeah.
Because, he just full on turns Gamabunta into like a fucking replica of the Nine-Tailed Fox. He's like moving super fast. He's like biting onto him. And he's like latching on him with his claws, right? Like, it is it seems like it's a very it's a very effective tool if like you're trying to like suddenly change what you're capable of in a fight and like maybe get the drop on your opponent. The other thing that's interesting is that like Naruto and Gamabunta seem to have like merged into one form for the duration of this transformation.
Right, I was thinking that.
Like Naruto is nowhere to be seen. Whenever he's talking, he's like superimposed over like the like Gamabunta, who's been turned into the Nine-Tailed Fox's like face. So it's like, okay, I guess they're like kind of like momentarily in the same body, and like when Naruto like leaps off of him to like attack and go punch Gaara, like that's when the transformation is dispelled, and like Naruto jumps out of that same cloud of smoke. So it's like, can you just do that? Like, if you're trying to like infiltrate a place, can you just like fit like a bunch of like people into like one man and have like a man clown car as you like sneak into a village?
Oh my god, you want to try it?
I think it'd be pretty funny at the very least.
Are you good at transformation jutsu?
I should be. I think the world is ready for like a transformation jutsu specialist. But I just don't know why we don't have that yet.
You should start working on that.
I should start working on that.
Did we find your thing?
Maybe this is my thing. I'm trying to be kind of like a jack of all trades. But maybe it's time for me to like zero in a little bit.
Right, but like being a transformation jutsu specialist like helps in the jack of all trades.
Yeah, all right, yeah. Let's fucking go for it.
Hell yeah.
Naruto launches off Gamabunta's head and like clocks Gaara in the face, and like Gaara wakes up. The Shukaku is pissed off at like only getting to be in like less than half of an episode.
Mood. I'm like in barely any episodes. Come on.
Me either. What the fuck? we haven't been seen since we were like disguised as like two other guys by Orochimaru's side back in the Forest of Death.
Right. It's fucking stupid.
It's fine. Gaara is like back awake. He's like still in fucking like I'm gonna kill Naruto mode. He's still like coming out of a big like sand Shukaku thing. He's still holding on to that at least. Gaara is very much in like a mode of existence where like he just sort of assumes that Naruto like being like trying to fight him is like basically an existential threat, like because he doesn't really have the capacity to understand that somebody could be like fighting him and like being this much of a threat to him and not be actively trying to kill him. And also, like, even if Naruto isn't trying to kill him, he could be wrong about like the things that he believes in, and that's like just as bad, basically. So, it's a real struggle for Gaara to like maintain his existence as he understands it. He's not really willing to let go, even though his attempt to like escalate the battle has been sort of like drawn back down to like the levels out immediately before.
Mm-hmm. But back in the Leaf.
Back in the Leaf, yeah. We get some like we cut back to the Leaf. We cut back to like the stadium where like Guy and Kakashi and some other people are like fighting still. Mm-hmm. There's like this really awkward bit of like this is the thing that like really stuck out to me. Like there's this cut like where they're like shuriken like clashing in the air, and then we like pan down to like what's beneath them, and like Guy and Kakashi are like standing back to back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who the fuck was throwing shuriken like above Guy and Kakashi's heads? Like who benefits from doing this? What's going on there? It's not a huge deal, but like I saw that, it was like wait why is this happening? What are you conveying to me? The fight is still happening. We go and see the Anbu guys who are like just sort of, they've still just been sitting there right outside the barrier the entire time. They haven't really like refocused their attentions elsewhere. They're just like, damn. I hope the third Hokage is okay in the tree cube.
Yeah, like they can't see in there anymore.
I feel like at that point you might as well just go and do something else. There is clearly a lot to be done in the village here.
I wish I was in that barrier.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What would you do in that barrier? Like, I'm not questioning. I'm just wondering what your plan of attack is.
Oh, I would beat up Enma.
Yeah, okay. Get his ass.
Get his ass so he's not holding onto the sword so Orochimaru can kill fucking Hiruzen faster.
You know, it would not be hard. That guy's just lying on the ground right now.
Yeah, just go step on him. Just go kick him in the nose. It's fucking dumb fucking Monkey King.
Orochimaru should have like had somebody like hiding in him with transformation jutsu this entire time, just for this exact sort of situation.
Right. Oh my god, we could have both been in there.
Yeah.
In Orochimaru with transformation jutsu.
Orochimaru gets so mad when we call him a clown car though, so he doesn't let us. Orochimaru is like, you know, he's getting his soul kind of pulled out, but he still decides it's time to gloat because he's like, yeah, surely the leaf is being destroyed right now. Mm-hmm. And like, I don't know how he knows this exactly because he can't see outside of the tree barrier, but he's like really confident about it. He's like really leaning into this, like, yeah, this is my victory. You know, every man, woman, and child in the leaf is going to be killed. You know, it's going to be fucking bad for you. I'm gonna, you know, it is very much the sort of gloating that the villain does before things are about to get turned around. But like, you know, I sort of like understand what his plan is broadly, right? Like we talked like way earlier in this arc, Orochimaru talked about like how he wanted to like set the world into war, and if you just completely like eradicate the Hidden Leaf Village and then like have the sand most directly tied to it, I bet that's just gonna like set shit off, you know? Like everything's just gonna start falling apart after that immediately.
Definitely. I mean, at the very least, there's like this huge like territory, right? Because the leaf was like very expansionist beforehand, right? Mm-hmm. And so like everybody's gonna be like scrambling to like fill that space.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, as far as like starting a world war goes, like this is probably a pretty good way to do it.
Yeah.
So there's a line in your summary that like when I was like looking at your summaries this morning, I was like, wait, what's this about? Because like I had totally forgotten about the bit where the Sand Shinobi are like, why aren't there any women or children here? Like I went back and like sure enough that scene is in there, and it's kind of fucking absurd, right? Like we get Orochimaru talking about how like all of the women and children of the Hidden Leaf are going to be killed, and we like cut over to the bad guys like just walking into houses and be like, there's no women or children to kill in here. That's weird. I wonder what happens.
Yeah, weird. We haven't seen any of those guys all day.
I wonder what could have happened. I wonder what sort of like strategical thing they could have deployed to like get the women and children out of here. Like I don't know what evacuation is.
Right.
That's like a Leaf exclusive tactic. The like evacuation stuff in this arc is like mostly a thing for the anime. Like there's one scene in the manga where like Konohamaru is like on the like staircase on the side of the mountain and he sees the Third Hokage's like face statue crack. And like basically every time it's just like here's a way that the anime is kind of like expanding stuff out.
Okay.
And I was like mostly like yeah okay sure this is fine, like this is like a sort of scene that makes sense to happen. Like obviously you'd want to get the kids to safety because they're all like 6 and don't know how to fight. But then the way that this episode like approaches it gets really fucking weird.
Yeah.
Right. And part of that is like I mean there's just like the bit where we learned that the place that everybody's been evacuated to is these like little fucking shacks that are hanging off the side of the mountain. Which again, we talked about how the stairs is a bad evacuation path. This is a bad place to evacuate your guys to.
Yeah.
Somebody could just throw an attack over there. Like by accident or like as a sicko maneuver. And then like everybody's fucking dead.
You should have just stopped at the tunnel under the mountain.
It seems like the tunnel under the mountain is probably safer. There was like an empty like stone structure they like walked past that like was hidden in the trees that they could have hidden in. They had so many options that were not these shacks on the side of the mountain. Right. I don't know what's going on here. But anyway, out in the broader Leaf Village, we see like a bird flying overhead. And like, you know, everybody in the stadium like stops fighting guys and just like looks out at all the like defeated sand and sound guys on the floor of the arena. And they look up at the birds like, oh shit, it's the signal. And like Gecko's girlfriend is like sitting at his grave with a bunch of other Anbu guys, and it's like, oh shit, it's the signal. And this like bird signal is also a thing that is like new to the anime. Mm-hmm. That I think makes a lot of stuff like very weird in some ways, or at least like kind of dumb. Yeah. Do you want to get to the next half of this episode?
Yeah, let's go ahead, and then we can talk about the ways in which the bird signal is kind of dumb. With all the women and children evacuated properly, the Leaf Shinobi start their counter-offensive, and all the heavy hitters in the village start kicking ass. Naruto grabs some extra chakra from the fox, and struggles through Gaara's sand to headbutt him square in the forehead. The sand monster falls away out from under them. Hiruzen realizes he's not going to rip Orochimaru's soul out in time and resolves to just cut off his soul's arms so Orochimaru can't use jutsu anymore. Naruto decks Gaara one more time, and Hiruzen dies.
So at the start of this half of the episode, Konoha, right? I guess this is like previous half of the episode, right? But Konohamaru's like getting antsy, all cooped up in like the evacuation room. He's like running out of the hall, and he like runs into some like mysterious people who show up.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that those people are like here to like bring all of the women into this shack on the side of a mountain.
Yeah,
they spell out the Leaf's strategy of what to do in case you get attacked. So like the first step, you try and to defeat the surprise attack force.
Good first step.
Fucking that, yeah, good first step. However, they have been fucking that one up for about a month.
Yeah.
Step 2, evacuate all the women and children. Okay.
Fine.
Sure.
Second step.
Step 3 is basically just like win.
I mean, okay, like I get what they're going for, right? It's like, yeah, okay, we're gonna fight back. And if we can't, like, defeat the enemy, like, normally, we're going to get all the non-combatants out of the way so that the people with, like, big, dangerous, explosive, flashy attacks can, like, let loose, right?
Yeah, but that's not really what we see.
Right.
Like, especially because, like, this whole, like, expanded evacuation thing is, like, new to the anime. Like, none of the actual structure of the rest of these fights winds up being, like, reflective of this. Like, nobody actually goes like completely wild except for like maybe Choji's dad.
Yeah.
So it very much like feels like we just like it very much just winds up feeling like, okay, we got to the part of the battle where now we try to win. And this is our strategic turning point. This is our Leaf strategy genius. We stop losing the fight and instead we win it.
It's such a good fucking strategy.
Why doesn't everybody do this?
Why doesn't anybody else do this?
I mean, I guess it's pretty hard for the attacking sound to evacuate all of the women and children that leave so they can't get to the third step. There's a lot of like intercutting between like a lot of different scenes. I'm not going to really like go through them all in order.
Mm-hmm.
Because like they happen in the show, because that'd be kind of awkward, right?
Yeah.
But like, here we go back to Hiruzen, and he's talking about like Orochimaru, you fucking idiot. Real strength doesn't come from having a lot of jutsu; it comes from wanting to protect people. And I was like, okay, sure. And we go over to see like Naruto, and like Naruto is like ready to draw in the nine-tailed fox chakra. And like as soon as like the nine-tailed fox chakra like starts spreading out, like an extremely mysterious sound cue plays to me.
Yeah,
like there's this weird like orchestral flourish that I was like, wait, this isn't the noise that plays when Naruto does nine-tailed fox stuff, is it? And like it's not really, generally speaking, this is actually a sign that the worst song in the world is about to start playing. Like, okay, it's not that bad, but like it's not really up to the standards of the rest of the soundtrack. I feel like it's very like plotting, and it's like trying to be like kind of grand, but because it's like so out of step with the rest of the like show's soundtrack, it just winds up being like kind of silly sounding, right? Like it's got all of these like big flourishes and like these big sweeping like swelling melody that just like rather than like feeling like a big moment, it just kind of feels like very generic and like it could be from anything. And like every time it hits like a big moment, and like I kind of had to stop myself from laughing because it just isn't working for me. And also like so much of the stuff it's like playing over just looks kind of bad. Like, as we go over to like the winning phase of the Leafs like strategy, we see like Hiyashi doing the worst gentle fist ever, where he's just like hitting guys really hard, and with like the palm of his hands is making like big smacking noises as they go flying away. And we get the Inoshika like trio's dads.
Yeah.
And like, you see this and you think from them, it's like, oh, maybe we'll see what the completed like Inoshika Cho formation would look like. Maybe we'll see what like, the perfected form is like 3-person strategy is like, and like how they work together. And actually what we get is that all of them basically just have ways to like kill guys with their own jutsu like independently from each other.
Yeah, I figured out why the kids are like that.
Yeah, it's because their dads are like this.
Yeah.
Like Shikaku is like, yeah, I can like strangle a guy with my shadow hands, and like Ichi is like, hey, I've got like a mind destruction jutsu, which is like the mind transfer jutsu, except it like is just better in every way and doesn't leave you immobilized. It just makes a guy fight his allies.
Yeah, I have an Assassin's Creed like frenzy poison dart. That just makes guys fight their friends.
Yeah, and Chozo gets like really big and like starts swinging his like big staff into like clouds of dust as it makes like hitting guys noises.
That's my
which just feels kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. We should have seen like an overview of like the whole city as like different people from that family just grow huge all at the same time. As soon as the signal's called, like,
oh my god,
like the plan should have been like only because they're there.
Right? But like, he's not even going crazy. He's like carefully like swinging his staff so he doesn't hit buildings, and he's like poking into like clouds of dust where presumably guys are. We can't see him hit anybody.
Right.
And we pan over a bunch of like we see a few other like parents of like characters we know. We see Kiba's like extremely lesbian looking mom.
I love Kiba's mom so much.
Kiba's mom is very cool. I can't like fault that. The show can't take that from me. She's just awesome. We got like Shino's like very swaggy dad.
Yeah.
Who like shows up in the forest. It's like, yeah, I've had my beetle take out the poison. Shino, you're gonna be okay. And like, thankfully for Kankuro, doesn't think to like look for the guy his son was fighting.
Yeah.
But like the scene is just kind of a mess, and I'm like buying into I'm buying into like Hiruzen's like whole big like grand stand against Orochimaru less and less by the moment, because the song is bad and the show isn't looking very good.
Mm-hmm.
And like, God, I don't know, like so much of the stuff with Hiruzen and Orochimaru just winds up like failing for me, like both because of like the like problems with the delivery of it, but also like there's other reasons too, right? Like so much of like the idea of like, oh, we're turning things around now is predicated on like this like belief of like the Leaf as a fundamentally good place full of like good people, and like
it's just not.
It's not really, and like I mean, like, and also, like, as a viewer, the ways in which the Leaf is fucked up are, like, more interesting to me than the idea that the Leaf is just, like, good, right? Like, every character, or, like, maybe not every character, like, a whole lot of characters are defined by, the ways in which they've been, like, failed by the system and, like, pressured into, like, difficult situations. And, they're also all child soldiers. Like, on top of that,
yeah,
it's hard for me to buy, like, there is this like sort of fundamental goodness to appeal to and like rely on, right? When the premise of the work is that like things are just kind of fundamentally bad.
Mm-hmm. So does like Naruto not know that the Leaf is fucked up? The show, I mean, not like
it varies, right? Like sometimes it does, and sometimes it all like there's ways in which it wants to be like broadly like, yeah, the world is like kind of bad, but also like it wants you to be able to root for the Leaf at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it should, like, I think if it just didn't want you to do that, it would be to the show's benefit.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't work for me on that level. And there's also the extent which, like, I don't know, like, Orochimaru is just more fun than Hiruzen.
It's just true.
Right, like, I don't really have, like, a problem with Orochimaru, like, getting a W, like, taking an L or whatever, right? Like, it's fine if he loses sometimes. He's, like, the villain. I get it. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I can't believe the show is bad because Orochimaru loses sometimes, and I like Orochimaru. Like, fucking obviously he's gonna lose sometimes, but like the fucking paternalistic bent that it takes with like Hiruzen and Sarutobi is like such a fucking boring way for it to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody who likes the Joker wants to see the Joker's dad show up and be like, now son, stop fooling around. Jokes are only funny when everybody's in on them. And like, now I'm going to shatter your funny bones so you can never laugh again. The fact that this show like starts on like, oh, Naruto is like this rebellious kid in like this society that is like failing him and like treating him poorly, and like from there, like in 80 episodes time, we have to go from that to like now we're supposed to be cheering for like a disappointed dad giving like a lecture to his son that he hates. It's like, fuck off! I don't want that. This is what I'm here for.
It's absolutely not what I'm here for. Also, fucking homophobic.
Yeah, obviously. And like Hiruzen's got his whole like epic, like ironic punishment he's gonna dish out to Orochimaru, right? He's gonna take away the use of his arms because Orochimaru has become addicted to using jutsu and he's overindulged in jutsu. And it's like, man, shut up. And like he has this fucking like
You're just rationalizing to yourself that you can only take his arms.
right, and he like gets this fucking like serene, peaceful, happy look on his face. He's like, Orochimaru, if only I could have killed you with me. If only I could have taken you with me to the other side. And it's like fucking 5 episodes ago or whatever, you were talking about how you're gonna like be tormenting each other forever in fucking soul prison. Like, what are you doing here? Why is this like a if only we could have gone beyond the veil together.
God, fuck this guy.
He does the fucking shitty dad thing where he's like dying and he's like closing his eyes and he remembers how Orochimaru was when he was a kid. And it's like, come on, man. I'm not rooting for this.
You don't get to fucking do that. You hated how he was as a kid. You said so in an earlier episode.
You're like, I always knew he was bad. Fucking Hiruzen out here channeling the spirit of Scott Adams. Like, yeah, if your kid is bad, you can only do nothing or kill him. Fucking freak. It just kind of falls apart for me at this point. It indulges too much in like me wanting to like Hiruzen more than I do, and so by overplaying that, it just makes me kind of exhausted with him. And like, I don't know, like it wants this moment to like feel too good, right? Like it wants the moment to feel better than it can actually pull off. So it just winds up being really flat and like kind of frustrating to me.
Yeah, fucking homophobe. Anyway, Naruto wins.
You know, but out in the woods, you know, Naruto, like, he summons the nine-tailed fox chakra, and he, like, breaks out of the sand at his feet that Gaara's trying to trap him in. He, like, goes and headbutts Gaara again, and, like, there's a cool bit where, like, the Shikaku just, like, crumbles like a big, hollow, like, sand structure. Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, I love that the big sand monster was hollow.
We get, like, these really, like, just kind of corny, but, like, great shots where, like, Gaara and Naruto are, like, staring each other down, like, from other, like, opposite sides of Gamabunta's big knife. So, like, you see, like, the reflection. You see half of them and, like, half of the reflection of the other one. And it's just wonderful. It's just very, like, you know, I say this part to talk about for last because it's the part I'm, like, most positive about. And, you know, I like to be positive about this when I can. I'm not making this podcast to be a hater.
Yeah.
I like when the boys, you know, have to like leap at each other and they have to go and do their fight. Naruto like gets that last hit in, and we get like that iconic image that are just like laying on the fucking ground of the forest together. That part's great. That part I'm here for.
Yeah, that part's awesome. Episode 80, the third Hokage, Forever. Enma pulls the sword out of Hiruzen and poofs. Orochimaru's kind of boned about the arms thing and calls his guys off to go home. The sand hand falls away from Sakura. Naruto and Gaara are both tuckered out on the ground. Naruto crawls over to Gaara to tell him how much he relates to him about being cast out and alone, but he has friends now, who he cares about more than anything. Gaara doesn't understand why he would do that, but remembers his uncle telling him about love. Gaara wonders if love made Naruto strong, when Sasuke steps in to tell them Sakura's fine. Kankuro and Temari pop in to carry Gaara away, and Naruto passes out. Gaara apologizes to his siblings, and the Leaf Shinobi find Hiruzen's corpse. I love so much that Orochimaru was just like, guys, fuck this, let's go home.
I fucking had it. I got out of my arms right now. I can't do jutsu. I'm fucking leaving. He takes his like 4 fights. He's one of 4 special guys, and they carry him off. There's like a really great cut where you know the Yanbu are like moving to pursue, and is it like Kidomaru? Is that the spider guy?
I don't remember.
He like turns around, like shoots like a spider web, like this whole like basically like this whole cut to Tetsuya Takeuchi cut, like it's Tetsuya Takeuchi. This whole scene is Tetsuya Takeuchi, and like it just has this like great sense of weight and motion to it. Like almost certainly the best looking part of this episode. Starting off strong on that moment, and like I think stuff in general looks pretty good.
Yeah,
like Orochimaru is like fucking out of there. Well, kind of leaving the sand guys like high and dry. They can figure it out. Back down on the floor of the arena, you know, Kakashi and Guy are just sort of like staring over at Kabuto and Baki, right? Mm-hmm. And Baki's like, shit, do we leave now? What's going on here? And Guy's like, hey, we need to fucking go after Orochimaru, right? Like, we're gonna get him, and like everybody's basically just ignoring him. Kakashi's like looking over at like Kabuto, who's like still in his Anbu disguise, and he's like, hey, Kabuto, is that you? Kabuto's like, damn, you figured me out, didn't you?
It's like, yeah, you're the only boy in the whole world that knows how to do espionage. Of course it was you.
Of course it was you. He's kind of like, hey, were we gonna fight or something? Like we kind of had like a rivalry going on in this arc. It seemed like, and we did not even really came with that. And Cop just like, are you fucking kidding me? You're the copy ninja. I'm not just gonna show you my shit. I'm leaving.
Yeah, bye.
Get better at your fucking Sharingan, also, idiot.
Yeah.
It was great. I love that for Kabuto. I love him just deciding to not get in any fights the entire arc and just like sort of like stand around and pick off guys when it's not a problem for him.
Speaking of standing around, Genma was also there, standing next to Guy and Kakashi.
Yeah.
So like, after Sasuke ran away, did fucking Baki and Genma just kind of hang?
Kind of chill. Like they were squaring up, and like I guess we never see them really fighting again. So maybe they're just maybe they found some common ground. You know.
I'd like to believe that's the case.
Maybe you know, Genma like forced Baki to realize that he wasn't just Gecko too, and like, you know, that sort of like recognition was enough to like forge a beautiful friendship.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Do we ever learn if Genma can do anything?
Maybe.
Does Genma have abilities?
I don't know. Like maybe he might be like on the team with Asuma that goes after like Hidan and Kikuzu like in like part 2, and like he might get in the fight there. I'm not sure. I don't remember who's on that fucking team.
Because like, I don't know, like not to be rude, right? But like Baki's not very impressive. He has like really strong karate chops.
He's got like wind blades.
Yeah, really strong karate chops.
Okay.
And you know, I don't know. I just feel like lots of people could take him, except for maybe Gecko.
I guess he's kind of like a shittier Tamari if he just does wind blades, right?
Right, because like he doesn't even shoot them really, right?
He's not very far. Like the idea is like, oh, it's like an unblockable sword or whatever. But,
yeah.
I don't know. It seems pretty lame.
Anyway, I could for sure kick his ass, but that's not important right now.
That's not important. You can kick a lot of guys' asses, I bet.
Yeah, I'm really strong.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, out in the woods, Gar and Naruto are on the ground. Naruto is like just sort of like thinking about a lot of shit. He's thinking about, you know, his past. He's thinking about what he knows about Gar's past. He's thinking about like Haku again. I really like, you know, coming back around to Haku in this moment as like I talk about this earlier, but like as a real motivation for Naruto to just like make sure that shit doesn't happen again, right? Like, you know, the fight's over and like he doesn't. It doesn't seem like there's anybody for Gar to like jump in front of and get impaled like by a Chidori for, but like, you know, he doesn't want things to happen like that, right?
Yeah. Like I love how invested Naruto is in like making sure Gaara understands why like things are okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like, I love that he's like fucking painstakingly like crawling over to Gaara so he can like be heard better, right? And like Gaara's like terrified. He's like, no, don't kill me. I need to keep existing. I was like, no, it's okay. You know about loving people? You know about caring about people? It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's great for Naruto that like he has this moment of like he's like expended everything and he's just gonna like try and push himself a little bit further to just like talk to somebody. You know, I love Naruto being the guy who like gets strong enough to just sort of like talk to the people he's fighting.
Yeah.
And I really like that, like as a moment for Gar, like him having this thing that he was like afraid of his whole life, like, oh, what if I actually lose to somebody? What if I just like stop being who I am and like somebody just talks to him and is like, hey, you know, it can be all right. You can have friends. It's beautiful. It's like the start of this is like the start of a beautiful relationship. I love it. I love Gaara. I'm glad Gaara can maybe have a little better of a time from here on out.
Yeah, and like speaking of that, when like his Kankuro and Tamari show up,
mm-hmm.
when he's being like carried away and stuff, when he's just like, hey guys, I'm sorry.
It's so good.
It's so good. I think that moment's so sweet. I love Kankuro's reaction. Cause like, you know, this is the first time probably ever.
Right. And like Kankuro, like we've established, Kankuro thinks his little brother is really fucking cool, even if he's also always kind of like ragging on him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has this great surprise reaction. I like it even more in the manga. I'm gonna post the manga version of that face.
Okay.
It's a great face. And just sort of him and Tamari like look at each other like stunned. Sounds like okay, something fucked up happens. And like Gaara's just like drifting off, like thinking about love and Naruto in some combination with each other. I also really like that, you know, when Sasuke like comes up to like check on Naruto and like, you know, like tells Naruto everybody's okay, like Naruto's just like, Oh, that's good. Like it immediately just like fucking collapses into smiling. I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think that I like Conqueror and Tamari show up to like try and get in the way of Sasuke, and Guard's like, no, don't fucking bother. Let's just go. It's okay. It's all right. And they're totally satisfied with taking that. That's great for them.
Yeah.
They can show up later and be cool guys. I'm happy they have that.
Looking forward to it, honestly.
Yeah, I love the Sand siblings.
I love those guys.
I've been really delighted by them like every time they're on screen. The last thing I have to say about this half of the episode is there's another manga panel I want to point out. Like the previous one I shared because like it's got like a good expression there. Like this one I like this one is when the various Leaf Shinobi are like finding Hiruzen's corpse. I like this panel because didn't Jiraiya look like the biggest guy in the world?
Oh my god, look at him!
He's fucking huge!
He's like 9 feet tall, what'd they do? Oh my god, that's so good! He's like, well, all the Leaf guys are gonna be here, so I better make myself look huge so I'm cool and impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's something he would do too, god!
It is. You know that guy is like fucking. He is like modulating how tall he is depending on how impressive he like the girl he's trying to flirt with. He's like, okay, how tall of a guy does this girl want? I'm gonna be that tall. These girl like guys were 8 feet tall. That's what I'm going with today.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm ready to move on to the next half of the episode if you are.
Yeah. Okay. It's a dreary day when Hiruzen's funeral is being held, and all the Leaf Ninja are there. It starts to rain, and everybody's just kind of bummed and reflecting on the people they've lost and their memories of Hiruzen. Kakashi's visiting the memorial stone in the woods thinking about Obito, with Gekko's girlfriend and Jiraiya nearby doing their own stuff. The kids line up to lay out flowers for Hiruzen, and Naruto recalls the rule about not showing your feelings as a shinobi. Naruto asks Iruka why people die for the sake of other people, and Sakura points out that the rain stopped. Everyone departs from the funeral, and we see 2 mysterious figures clad in black robes with a red cloud motif. One of them's a fish, but that's not important right now, because the other one has the goddamn Sharingan.
Alright, yeah. This half of the episode starts off like really subdued, like really quiet. It goes like a pretty long time without dialogue. Not quite as long as the manga does. But there's a lot of like very subdued scenes of like people just like walking over to the funeral, they're showing up, it's like starting to rain. It, like eventually breaks that silence with with Asuma having this like really like maudlin kind of corny line about like, oh, even the sky is crying for him, and it's like, come on, man, chill out. I get that's your dad, but like, I don't know, say something better next time. Yeah. Next time your dad dies.
Next time your dad dies.
And, a lot of people here are feeling pretty bad. I have like an exciting candidate for maybe the person at this funeral who feels the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, in this crowd, we briefly see Kabuto-sensei. The unnamed guy who just had all 3 of his students be revealed to be spies working for Orochimaru, the guy who just tried to destroy the village and led to a bunch of people dying.
Including the Hokage.
He's got a lot to think about right now.
I'm surprised he's allowed at the funeral.
Yeah. Everybody's just sort of like thinking back to their memories of Third Hokage. And the thing I really like about these flashbacks is that like in all of them, like, in the present, like everything's just kind of like dreary and gray. And in the flashback, there's like this super vivid shading that is like way like more so than like the show normally is, right? Like it's like there is like a, I don't know, there's like a real like warmth to the colors and the way stuff looks that like it is not really necessarily in line with how the show looks generally, but like I think winds up being pretty characterful. It's like, oh, everybody's like thinking about this person that like was a part of their lives for whatever that meant.
Yeah.
I also think like a lot of these like individual like flashback scenes have like some really like cute art. Like it's just like characterful and nice looking. The line work is like clean. It's all like it's a lot of like really nice looking still shots that like I think are great and like full of some pretty fun stuff. He's like going around. He's like eating dango with like what team is Hinata, Kiba, and Shino. I don't remember the number suddenly. But, like, he's eating dango with them. He's, like, chasing after Shikamaru and Choji in school when they were kids. He's, like, going over and he's, like, patting Sasuke on the head when Sasuke was, like, a fucking baby and Sasuke's, like, super grumpy about it. He's, like, eating ramen with Naruto. It's, like, all these, like, little scenes of, like, he was just sort of in everybody's life in a way that isn't, like, maybe isn't the most, like, earned. But, like, yeah, it's still nice, right? Like, I can buy into it.
Yeah, I can totally buy into the guy that's just like, yeah, I want to hang out with all of the kids in the village.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because most of them are orphans on account of the war crimes.
Yeah, I guess that does make sense. It's like actually pretty consistent with like who we saw him to be as like the guy who just like shows up at elementary school classes and is like, "Hey, I'm the Hokage. Look at me.
Yeah.
You're all gonna do great, kids."
Ugh.
I don't really have a problem with him generally, unless it's like trying to like go super hard into him as this like uncomplicatedly like good guy or whatever, which it kind of leads into like in that previous episode and sometimes here. But like this stuff at least goes down easier for me than the end of that previous episode.
Yeah, as long as the kids that you're hanging out with aren't gay.
God, like that isn't the intent, but it is kind of hard to not read it that way sometimes.
No, I don't literally think this character is homophobic, like textually. However,
when you look at Orochimaru, who is like one of the most like extremely queer-coded kids in the show, and like contrast how he winds up relating to his like combat dad, in comparison to how the other characters in the show wind up relating to their combat dads. It's it's easy to joke about, if nothing else.
Yeah. Also, the rainbow thing.
The fucking rainbow thing. God damn. What was up with that?
I don't know. Like, maybe it's something.
Maybe there's something there. Not everybody makes it to the funeral. Kakashi is often the he's off out by like the memorial for people who are lost. We get this like kind of ridiculous reveal about Kakashi, where we learn that like, oh, he's not actually like late all the time because he doesn't care. He's late all the time because every morning he goes to this like memorial and is really sad about Obito for like a long time and like can't make it to anything on time because of how sad he is.
God, mood.
Jiraiya's like looking over at this. He's also over here, and he is like, he is remembering his time, being trained by Hiruzen Sarutobi. This is like a rare instance of a scene in the manga that winds up being like cut down and like largely removed for the anime. Like this is like a multiple page thing in the manga. Yeah, where we learned that like the bell test that Kakashi gave Naruto and Sasuke and Sakura, where it was like, it seemed like a thing that was like a competition between them, but actually it was like a test to like teach them teamwork.
Yeah.
Evidently, back when Hiruzen Sarutobi was doing this shit, it wasn't really like a secret test. It was basically just a competition to like humiliate one of your students, it seems like.
Asshole.
Like, Orochimaru, it's not I both get bells and Jiraiya, so it's just tied to the pole. He's like, alright, you could go. And they're like making fun of Jiraiya as they leave. Which is like, okay, interesting. Hiruzen just like is like telling Jiraiya that he should be like more like Orochimaru because like Orochimaru is so good at everything. Which again, interesting. Not what you were saying, like not what you were saying like 40 years from then, but like. And also like Jiraiya's like, oh, you think I'm so bad at jutsu, but I'm like really good at turning invisible to spy on girls. And Hiruzen's like, oh, you should teach me how to do that so we can spy on girls together. So like, pretty bad look for this guy. I guess I can kind of see why they removed this, because it's just him being kind of like shitty for like a few pages.
Yeah, huh?
Like none of this really makes him look good.
Though I think it's really funny that the ways in which Jiraiya is like reminiscing about the dead guy is how much he like condoned and enabled him being a sex pest.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, also the ways in which he like humiliated him in front of his peers, and like Jiraiya not at the funeral.
Yeah, fair. At least he's fucking dead now.
He is dead now. Speaking of how he's dead, back at his funeral, Naruto is like, he's just sort of standing there, and he's like, he's like kind of grappling with like, hey, why do people like actually like try and like put their life on the line and die for each other, right? Like he's thinking about how shinobi aren't supposed to care like that, and like I think it's also interesting to see him in this position after he like very concretely like put his own life at risk for like stuff he believed in, right?
Yeah.
Like he had that moment. Now he's like, shit. Why did that happen? Like what's that about?
Yeah. Aren't we supposed to be like emotionless killing machines? Hold on.
Hold on. Is that actually not possible?
Is that actually impossible?
And I like that Iruka like doesn't have like a super great answer. He just kind of like has this rambling thing is like about like, yeah, I mean, people like come to care about each other and they have connections with other people, and like, that stuff kind of accumulates and builds up, and like sometimes they sacrifice themselves, and it just sort of happens, and it's complicated and weird. I like that Iruka doesn't have like a snappy like, here's the thing here, I'm gonna explain it to you, I've got like a nice like clean line for you to like put everywhere. It's just kind of like this, yeah, I don't know, but like people care about each other and this shit happens.
Yeah, I mean, Erica's just like, yeah, you're right. Those are two like incongruous pieces of like fucking shinobi rhetoric. You're right.
Yeah.
Shit happens.
Do your best.
Good luck.
Good luck. And Oda's like, yeah, okay. Runs off from the funeral. The rain stopped. Everything's gonna be okay.
Everything's gonna be fine.
Anyway, we got some fucking guys.
Yeah, we got some fucking cool guys.
Hell yeah. God. The Akatsuki robes are so fucking cool.
Yeah, they are.
Just awesome shit. Like, you watch Naruto as a teen, you're fucking stuck thinking the Akatsuki robes are awesome for the rest of your fucking life.
It's true, fuck!
And also, generally beyond that, I love when some mysterious guys show up,
It's so good when some mysterious guys show up, except we know the identity of one of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, it's not, like, super hard to tell that one of these guys is Itachi. He's, like, looking down at the village, and he's like, the village that I came from. It used to be so great, but now, look at it. And, like, the other guy, I'm just going to say his name. I'm not going to be all coy about this. These guys are going to be in, like, next week's episodes anyway, right? The other guy, Kisame, is like, wow, do you have feelings about your home still? And, like, Itachi's like, obviously not. And, like, I gotta say, not getting into it, but if Itachi actually didn't care about the hidden leaf, his life would be much easier.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, it's a fun stinger to like set us like forward. Like here's what's next as we put a wrap on this arc, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing these mysterious guys like mess some shit up in the leaf.
Yeah, totally. Me too. Is that all there is?
That's all there is for me. That's all there is for you.
Yeah. What are we watching next week?
Next week, we are starting a new arc with episodes 81, 82, and 83. We're going to need to figure out, like, at some point, what times we're going to watch, like, 4 episodes a week in that next arc, because it's like, kind of a weird one in terms of episode count. But, like, we'll probably figure that out. And, like, we're probably not going to do it at the start of a new arc. So, we'll...
Yeah, right, because the next episode's going to be a big one anyway, because we've got to, like, reintroduce the podcast. We try to make it the start of every arc, sort of like a good, like, jumping on point. If you're excited to see that next episode, you can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Konoha Crush. That's all one word, Konoha Crush. Get access to episodes up to a week early. Check out our bonus podcast, Narukai Uzumaki, where we talk about, like, different, like, isekai stuff every month. It's good. For this next month, we're going to be doing ReZero, so we started watching that. And that's, we're going to have some things to say about that. And you can get your name shout out at the end of the podcast. So hey, thanks to our joining tier patrons, Maple and Izzy, future Jinchuriki of the Six-Tailed Beast. Again, thank you so much for your support. It means a lot to us. Any images we talk about during the episode can be found on our Twitter at Konoha Crush, all one word, Konoha Crush. And I've been streaming, as always. So you can go ahead and check me out there. Twitch.tv/Reziart. REZIART. Drawing stuff. Still doing art fight. Probably that's pretty close to ending by the time that this episode is out, but
Actually, I have a plug to do this week, actually.
Right. You're going to be on another podcast.
Yeah, I am guesting on another podcast. I am guesting on my friend Nero's podcast, Prime Cuts. I'm going to be talking about some episodes of Transformers Prime over there. I'm going to talk about Starscream if you're interested in Transformers. And I know, like, some of our listeners are. Because I know a large enough portion of our listeners that I can say that confidently right now. I'm going to be over there. I'm, like, recording the episode tomorrow, but, like, it's going to go up, like, the Sunday before you're hearing this because of the way our release schedules differ. So if you want to check that out, check that out.
Sounds fun.
I'm hoping it's going to be a good time.
Yeah. So, thanks for listening, everybody. And remember, there's no such thing as filler.